take hiring seriously. Obviously, we all know hiring is a big deal, but try to really mentally acknowledge it's a serious process to understand why are you hiring, who do you want to hire, and how do you retain those great hires if you actually hire somebody. Welcome to yet again another video. In this video, we're going to actually talk about the worst hiring mistakes companies can do in 2024. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston. I'm a professional recruiter running my own recruitment agency. We work with some of the most well-known brands, agencies, nonprofits in the entire country. So if you're looking to hire for your team or you're looking for your next dream job, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you. But if you are as excited as I am to get into this video, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. Would really mean a lot. Let's get started. So mistake number one is hiring from outside your target region. Hiring locally is often more beneficial due to candidates' familiarity with the region and immediate availabilities. I think ever since the pandemic in 2020, a lot of companies now are like, oh my God, we need to hire. Let's immediately go and target people in the entire country nationwide. But that could also be a mistake depending on what type of position you're looking for. Because if you talk to folks that are local, again, it comes with a lot of great benefits that you might be overlooking because you're chasing the sexiness, the trendiness of hiring remote or out-of-state candidates. So number one, the ease of access familiarity, right? Local hires have easy access to the office for in-person meetings, interactions, company events, creating just the overall sense of connection. While I'm a huge fan of just remote overall, there's just no substitute for doing in-person interviews, in-person events, to really being able to create a strong culture than actually seeing people in person, literally. It's also very cost effective, right? Hiring locally reduces the expenses and complexities associated with hiring non-local or global talent. Again, very easy to interview. You don't have to think about visas so often. You don't have to think about travel costs or lodging or airfare. Just so much more complexity and logistics. Level up when you're talking to folks that are just not in your local state or city. It could also have great compliance and benefits administration effects and implications as well. So hiring locally will essentially simplify the compliance with local legislations and employment laws, streamlining compensation, benefits administration, and things like that. And I think when you're a small team or a small startup and you start hiring people across the nation, yes, you might have access to more of a wider talent pool, but you're going to also have to pay more attention to the regulations, payroll taxes, any other regulations and tape that comes with hiring someone that's outside of your state, outside of your city that you might not have budgeted for or even think of. So make sure that you look into this as well. You have to have a really good CPA or attorney at hand to be able to guide you in the best way possible. So if you start a search and the local search is unsuccessful, try to consider candidates with previous regional experience if they're willing to return before opening up and start targeting people out of state and nationwide. Candidates with previous experience in the region will bring valuable insights, familiarity, and knowledge about local market nuances, preferences, industry trends, less ramp-up period. They're coming in with already that pre-established knowledge and familiarity that you can immediately leverage for whatever job that you're hiring for so that they can just hit the ground running. They may also possess established professional networks or connections that can be leveraged for business opportunities. When it comes to business or sales, it's all about relationships. It's about not only who you know, who people know. If you hire people who've been in and around your local neighborhood or city or state, they naturally will have a connection and a network that you might be able to tap into to benefit your team, your product, your services, ultimately your company. Companies can also access just a broader talent pool while still benefiting from candidates' familiarity with the region by talking to people who have previous experience in your local market who might be willing to move back. So all these are great things for you to think about instead of just rushing to just hire people that are outside of your local target market. Did you just start your own recruitment agency and are struggling getting your own clients? Are you thinking about starting your own agency but afraid to make the jump? Do you have your own clients but you're struggling to find the perfect candidates fast? Do you have a full-time job and wanted to do recruitment part-time to make more money on the side and have no idea how to? If you answered yes to any of these questions, please consider joining our private community. It is a trust-based community where recruiters around the world can support, collaborate, and work together on placements all around the year consistently. In this community, you will directly have access to the real open jobs of my team and of our members, and you will also have the chance to access trainings, events, giveaways, and much more. If you are part of this community, I communicate and work with you as if you were on my own team, and I'll do whatever I can to do a placement together with your client or candidate. So if if you're struggling to get your own clients or candidates and you want a way you can make sure you can be busy all year round by having access to many more open roles, then this is something you need to look into. This is open to people around the world and is open for recruiters in every industry and experience levels, as we will always have a good number of variety of open jobs across sectors, markets, and industries. I'm really happy to say that within the first 30 days, we have already have a new member with minimal recruiting experience do his first placement that had a total fee of almost $30,000 US, and we are working hard to do many, many more this year. If you are interested and excited, there are only a limited number of spots open, so make sure you sign up quick at patreon.com/recruiterpreston. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Discord. We can set up a time to chat. See you on the other side. The mistake number 2 that we also see is just doing the hiring yourself. Hiring on the candidate side obviously is very stressful. It's a big decision, but equally on the company side, a lot of resources, a lot of thought have to go into even just hiring one person. And if you're a small team, you're a solo founder and trying to do this all by yourself, how the heck can you also effectively run a company, manage people, because so much of your time is just being sucked into hiring, right? And I get it. A lot of people, a lot of managers and founders are like, you know what, I want to just be lean, stay on the budget, I'll do it myself. But then they just completely underestimate how much time it actually takes, especially if you're sitting there sifting through hundreds and hundreds of irrelevant resumes, a complete waste of your time when you have to be focusing more of your time on activities that are pushing you and your business forward. So hiring may seem easy for certain positions, but it is also important to rely on key professionals and partners for key roles. Being a great entrepreneur doesn't honestly guarantee success in hiring the right people. If you are really well known, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you may of course have a tremendous amount of brand recognition, but if you're not, you're really gonna have to do your best to compete against all the other companies and startups, agencies, brands in your relevant market for the right talent. Everyone's going after the same talent. So it's really, really important that you have to use strategic resources and partners successfully. Speaking of strategic resources, you want to also think about specifically hiring for a recruitment agency, because we are not just a resume vendor. We do everything from strategy, thought leadership, helping with negotiations, auditing, crafting job descriptions, career pages, and going out there and making your company sound like the most exciting company in the entire country on planet Earth, especially if you're working with a really, really, really good recruitment partner. I can't tell you how many times where we've worked with unknown, relatively small companies, and we go out there and we maximize and get people excited because we know how to engage candidates, we know how to excite them, we know how to pitch them so that they have an open mind to want to interview and chat with you. So the right recruitment partner does a lot more than just be like, hey, here's a resume. So you got to rethink or rechange your mindset or reset your perspectives on recruitment agencies, especially if maybe you tried a recruiter in the past and didn't work out. Not all recruiters, like any professionals, are the same. Once you find a partner, you want to find a partner that specializes in your market. We specialize in tech, but also in the past 12 months, we've expanded, we've added more teams. We're now doing a lot of positions in healthcare, legal, finance, etc. If we can't help you, of course, there are other partners that we know of that can, of course, help you. So if you are struggling to hire right now or you are going through a growth phase, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have a chat. But once you find the right partner, it's really important for you to clearly communicate your requirements for the agency. We can only do our job if you know exactly what you want. If you don't know what you want, how are we supposed to know what you want? We can, of course, use our expertise and our track record to help guide you, but ultimately it's your business. You gotta tell us who do you want to hire and what does the ideal profile look like. Again, if you are unsure about the type of staff needed, convey this to the agency, because we are like your partners. We can give you guidance, give you options, give you alternative things to think about to help you make the best decision. And as I mentioned at the final point again, we just do a lot more than just give you a cover letter or a resume. We give you great candidates, and not only great candidates, we give you great qualified candidates that fit exactly what you're looking for, but most importantly are genuinely interested in working for you and your company and your team. But again, thought leadership, strategy, we're accessible 24/7. These are the attributes of what good recruitment partners should have. These are some of the things that we take pride in and we take very, very seriously for the clients that we work with. Mistake number 3 is resisting AI. Technology is advancing, AI is advancing. If you don't evolve, if you don't adapt, you will be left behind and you will just be aged out as technology and business models and businesses and the markets continue to rapidly change at a very, very fast pace. Candidates will likely use AI tools like ChatGPT, Grammarly, etc. to really enhance their job application materials and complete work assignments. Some companies are really hesitant to embrace AI. They sometimes view it as like a disruption rather than a valuable resource. They're not really sure exactly where AI or ChatGPT plays, and really continue with that notion of if it's not broke, don't stop using it. But that could be a big mistake, because recognizing AI as a valuable source rather than a threat is important for staying competitive in the job market. AI is not going to go anywhere. If anything, it's going to get more and more robust with a lot more functionalities and a lot more potential moving forward. So if you find a way to really sit down and understand exactly what AI can do for your business, the money and time saved, then it perhaps could be worth your while. Companies that leverage candidates' familiarity with these tools to enhance productivity and efficiency in the workplace. The integrations of AI can be used to update possibly interview techniques, candidate experience, and assess human thinking. For example, instead of focusing solely on technical qualifications, interviewers could also prioritize discussing real job challenges and scenarios that require critical thinking and creativity, and possibly use and integrate AI to be able to elevate the whole interview experience with the candidate. The mistake number 4 that we see a lot is not knowing what the business requires exactly. Hiring is a huge decision, and whether you have venture money backing you or you're bootstrapped or you just need to hire because you're growing, it's really important to know what you actually need to hire for. On one hand, it's very easy to come to the thought notion that like I need to hire, but then what's the next step? Is who do you need to hire? And figuring that out could be a game changer for you, or it could also be a huge just time and money sink if you do it incorrectly. You really want to identify the key positions. There are some companies that lack hiring experience, specifically new founders, leading to just challenges that can have a trickle-down effect in identifying the right candidates or future candidates for key positions. You really want to find people that align with business vision and culture, prioritize positions that directly contribute to business objectives and growth strategies, and not ones that you are gambling and risking, like, oh, you know what, this could help, or I'm not sure how this could add value to my bottom line right now, but maybe because I see my competitors doing, I should do it too. No, like focus on your core business. What do you need? Where are the gaps? Where can new talent fill those gaps and provide additional value? You want to start small and grow gradually. A lot of times we see this in tech in our markets where a lot of small startups, they just grow too fast, and that ends up biting them in the butt, versus those that are just intentionally growing and making sure that they're hiring key positions at a certain time, even though if that means that they're growing slower, they're being more optimized, that they're being more efficient, and they're staying and they're managing just their cash flow a lot better. By hiring the minimum number of employees necessary to manage customer demand and maintain service, startups again can minimize just a huge ramp up of overhead costs and optimize resource allocations. The next mistake that we see is looking beyond just surface answers when it comes to interviews. You really want to understand the candidate's behavior. Candidates often present themselves favorably. It's an act, a presentation, emphasizing strengths and minimizing weaknesses. It's a performance, right? Classic questions like, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Often result in just very rehearsed responses that can essentially mask their key strengths and weaknesses, right? You want to try to also develop people reading skills, acquaint yourself with basic human psychology, body language, nonverbal communication. Try to see how are they presenting themselves, hand motions, posture, tone. All of these are very important. Give you additional tools to be able to look at that goes a level deeper than just the performance that the candidates are doing. You want to also think about funneling questions. What I mean by that is structure questions to lead candidates into a funnel, moving from wide general questions to more narrow specific ones. Related questions should result in consistent answers. Inconsistencies may signal conflicting responses, and that could be a red flag for you. So as an example, a possible question for you to ask, are you willing to make an effort to develop yourself professionally? They could respond, yes, I see growth opportunities and focus on learning. And instead of stopping there, you maybe want to follow up and go a little deeper and be like, you know what actions do you usually take to grow and learn, and listen carefully. By doing this, it also helps to ensure truthfulness. Honest and suitable candidates are ultimately those that you want to hire, and they will provide genuine responses and being very consistent, and not be those that have inconsistent answers that could indicate potential issues. Mistake number 6 that we see often is posting poor job description. Why are job descriptions so important? Well, a well-crafted job description is one of the best ways in attracting candidates. Think about it. If you're a company hiring, some of the first touch points that a candidate has, a new talent has, prospective person has with your company is your career page and a job description. If it's not made well, if it does not convey the right points or your strengths or the X factors or differentiating factors of your company effectively to the candidate, it's not doing its job really well, and it might turn off really great candidates. Candidates are drawn to positions with detailed descriptions that allow them to envision themselves in the role. Unclear job descriptions can lead to mismatches between candidate skills and job requirements. Clear communication of job responsibilities and company culture is essential. Why should somebody work for you versus 10 or 20 other companies doing the same thing in the same space. Everyone thinks they're building the next Google. Everyone thinks they're building the next Netflix. Aside from your product, while that could be good enough for most people, are there anything else that you want to highlight? Culture, environment, the founder's background, the investor's background, work-life balance, remote, hybrid, benefits. I mean, these are really, really important things that you need to include. A gym allowance, mental health allowance, doctor, state, travel, relocation. It goes on and on and on and on. And it's really, really important for you to be able to put all that information concisely in the job description. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And that not only applies to candidates that are interviewing, but also companies that are hiring, right? Candidates will gauge the quality of the company based on the quality of the ad or even the interview process. So make sure you do the job description well, make sure your interview process goes well, because if you drop the ball on those, it can turn off a lot of candidates, possibly being the tipping point for them walking away and interviewing with a competitor. Some tips and resources to think about. You want to be clear, concise, and avoid cliches in your descriptions. You want to optimize for SEO by including relevant keywords. You want to keep diversity, equity, inclusion in mind. You want to define career growth opportunities within the company. You want to make the application process as easy as possible for candidates. The next mistake is not showcasing company culture. So aside from the salary, aside from, the job position, the title, the scope, like what the essence that makes the company, aside from its products and services different from others, is the culture. And not being able to touch on this or to demonstrate it or to clearly communicate it is one of the biggest mistakes a company or team can do. Failing to showcase the company culture, including benefits and salary and perks and workplace flexibility, etc., is a very common hiring mistake, but a really bad one. Candidates want to seek environments, especially in 2024 and onward, where they feel comfortable, supported, where benefits align with their personal lives, with their professional lives, with their ethos, with their morals. It's really important to be able to make these clear to attract the right people. Highlighting the company culture can be a big differentiator, especially in competitive industries or functions. Take time to consider the workplace incentives you can offer employees and stick to your word, according to Business Daily. And they also added that if your company appears to have poor ethics or has received backlash for offensive behavior, candidates are unlikely to want to be associated with you. It's really important that you put your best foot forward, and that includes a job description, that includes the information conveying in interviews, and making sure that you are presenting your company, your brand in the best way possible. The next mistake that we see is having an unclear hiring policy. You decide that you need to hire, you decide who you want to hire, and then you completely drop the execution on how you want to hire. Failing to define the hiring policies can lead to really drastic amount of confusion for both hiring managers and candidates. It can also result possibly in legal troubles, especially regarding contact workers and exempt versus non-exempt employees, not really understanding the implications and regulations against different types of people that you want to hire, just trying to kind of go with the flow, moving really fast. You could also bite yourself really badly in the behind into the future. Unclear policies not thought out may expose companies to potential legal liabilities. Having clear policies serves as a legal shield, helps identify issues to avoid in the future. Employers should have an employee handbook and a hiring policy in place. It's very easy to be like, wow, we have no time, we need to hire, but just try to take a day, a couple days at least, and maybe a week or two to put the thoughts down with your leadership, with your co-founder, and really establish an employee handbook and hiring policy. What kind of company do you want to create to attract people? And how are you going to attract those right people in the best experience that you can, so that you can maximize a positive experience and a positive conversion if a person goes through the entire interview funnel and ends up a strong candidate at the end, right? All of this is really, really important. And how do you minimize, how do you mitigate bad ratings, bad reviews, bad comments, and any other aspects of your company dropping the ball? You do not want that to happen. So take hiring seriously. Obviously, we all know hiring is a big deal, but try to really, really mentally acknowledge it's a serious process. Take some time before you actually pull the trigger and put the ads out, put the job descriptions out, to understand why are you hiring, who do you want to hire, and how do you retain those great hires if you actually hire somebody. Hiring people is one thing, but retaining them is where the hard work's at, and you want to make sure the company culture, the experience, the policies, HR, onboarding, is all there and crystal clear. The next mistake I see often is just neglecting reference checks. I get it. You find someone, they go through the process, you love them, candidates love you, it's like a dating period, it's at peak love for each other, and you're like, you know what, here's the offer, accept. Don't need to do references. But a lot of times references can really give you that validation, that comfort that the person that you want to hire is the right person. One of the biggest hiring mistakes we see commonly made are just neglecting this, right? Reference checks are often neglected because people don't think that they're important, or people people don't understand the importance of doing it. Relying solely on candidates who provide reference information can lead to incomplete or misleading information, or ones that are just very biased. As you know, candidates interviewing at companies, they put on an act, they put on a performance. Everything they do and that they say and they give you, including information and reference checks, could be biased or could be them putting their best foot forward. You want to do your due diligence, making sure you're hiring the right person. They're going to not only do their job well, but they're here to stay. So some of the best practices that you can think about are as follows. Avoid relying on references provided by candidates on their resumes, as they may be staged or misleading. That's pretty obvious. You want to create your own references by try contacting owners, directors, general managers of previous employees. Use LinkedIn to see who do you have in common with your prospective candidate. Perhaps you might have met their manager or the manager's manager or the boss, or perhaps you know someone who might make an intro to that candidate's boss and you can get another perhaps backdoor entrance or reference that way. Top level context can provide the most honest and accurate insights about candidates, and at the end of the day, even though it does require more effort, you can just go to bed, relax, knowing that if you're going to hire someone, you did your due diligence, they went through the process, and they are going to be a rock star for you. The last mistake that we see a lot is focusing on the wrong qualifications when it comes to hiring candidates. This is a common hiring mistake that we see a lot of companies do. It's really common to focus on qualifications that don't predict success. It just makes your life harder because it also limits the candidate pool at the same time. So a guidance that you can use for evaluating candidates are as follows. Try to use a more of an inclusive approach by evaluating candidates for the skills your team actually needs. Move the nice to have qualifications to a secondary list and really focus on what the real needs of the job and your teams are. Don't overlook soft skills. Two people can have the same technical hard skills, but one might be much stronger and much more aligned in the soft skills. And if you overlook that, you may choose the wrong person for your team and for your company. You want to implement a better way to interview soft skills to ensure a comprehensive assessment of the candidates. Some resources to think about is provide guides to help maybe your team evaluate candidates based on essential skills and soft skills effectively. Offer resources to debunk soft skills and improve the interview process for a more thorough assessment. You want to make sure that you don't just focus on the hard skills and be like, you know what, I just need a candidate that has X. You want to include the soft skills and all the other secondary things that holistically will make the right hire and the right decision when it comes to hiring. I think it's very easy to kind of come to the table, especially if you're looking to hire someone with a very clear technical background, and just focus on that technical background, ignore everything else. While that could be good enough for you, I think what can help you make that better hire is if you just slow down a little bit and understand, like, what are the other needs of this job? What are the other demands of the team and stakeholders, and utilize it as part of the interview process and the criteria. And by doing so, you'll be surprised. You'll be able to find people that not only have the technical hard skills you're looking for, but have everything else, making it a much great hire. So I hope this helps. If you enjoyed this, if you learned a thing or two here, or you just were entertained, please consider supporting us. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell, would really mean a lot. Feel free to also pick up some merch if you are a successful founder or hiring manager and you're recruiting for your team. Let these soft shirts and wonderful hoodies and hats do that heavy lifting, and wherever you go, whatever you do in your life, you can attract great talent all around you as well. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.